If you're a book girl, you already know that there is that chapter in a book where everything unravels, where the main character loses more than she ever thought that she could, where the old version of her dies quietly, so the next one can rise up even more powerful. 2025 was that chapter for me. If you've been on social media, which I know you already are, you probably have seen 2025 referenced as the year of the snake, right? So it's the year of shedding skin, releasing identities, and letting go of what can't come with you into the next part of your story. And unfortunately for me, this year did not gently ask me to change. It demanded it. It ripped all the layers off at once and left me zero choice but to build new, thicker skin. So today I am not going to share the highlight reel of 2025. I am sharing the middle of the book chapter, the one you read with the knot in your throat, knowing something irreversible is happening. If this year stretched you, cracked you open, or forced you to become someone new, this episode is for you. So let's talk about the year that made me, but at the same time, it also almost broke me. So as I mentioned, 2025 is the year of the snake. And for me, it was literally in the most literal way. Overnight, I lost about 90% of my income. On top of that, I was about to give birth to our second child. And 4 weeks after giving birth to our second child, that week before he was born, I signed a huge contract, thought that we were going to be good, thought it was going to put me in a good place again, give me some peace of mind. 23 days later, I ended that contract. And then on top of that, that client decided to blackmail me for another 30 days, which left me defeated. I was so burnt out. I was just so done with my business, with being in marketing, doing done for you work, that I had no idea what I was going to do. I almost gave it all up. And when something like this happens, it's not just a financial transaction. It actually really shakes your nervous system. It sends you back into survival mode and makes you spiral, and you lose your sense of safety and you lose your identity. And on the outside, over on Instagram, I was still showing up. I was trying to still serve my people in the way that I only knew how. But on the inside, I was asking myself questions I never thought I'd have to ask again. What am I doing wrong? Did I miss something? Did I build on the wrong foundation? And the truth is I kept reverting back to what is safe. I am so good at building businesses and marketing and sales strategy, but that's not where the fire inside of me burns. That's a byproduct of the work that I really want to do, right? Naturally, I have always been some type of healer. I have these amazing gifts that the God, universe, source, whatever it is that you believe in. For me, it's God. I have these amazing gifts that God gave me. I've always been an empath. I've always been tapped into people's emotions, thoughts, feelings. I've always known how to help people, but I've never known what to do with that gift. And really, for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been called to shift into more of mindset and energetics, but I let fear get into the way. I let fear of being judged and let old wounds from being bullied in high school honestly get into the way of what I really wanted to do. And so 2025 was really that year where God was just like, you are not listening to me, my child. And the only way that you're going to get on the path that I'm trying to show you to go on that is meant for you is if I literally take it all away. And he did. I lost my income. I lost my clients. I lost my passion and purpose for what I thought my business was supposed to look like. And I almost gave up. I almost gave up my business. I almost went back to corporate, but I knew deep down that if I did give up, I would never actually build the life that I want for my family. And so when it came down to it, I was doing the work that I was known for, but it wasn't the work that lit that fire up inside of me. And I had outgrown those parts of my business, like business strategy, marketing, sales strategy, business foundations. That is just second nature to me. It's not challenging. It is so easy for me to step into a client's business and show them exactly how to build that perfect, six-figure business that is going to support their life. But the real deep work inside of that makes those foundation work is the inner healing work. And so I had to step back and look at myself, look at the layers that were getting shed and the layers that were starting to grow back to really start figuring out how it is that I want to serve my people. And so that's when I slowly started to allow myself to start shifting into the mindset work, the energetics, the healing work. But I was still too afraid to do it over on Instagram. And I'm still kind of too afraid to do it over on Instagram. I know if I decide that that platform is a platform that I want to stay on, I know my business is going to re-blow up. I know I'm going to attract my aligned people. I know I'm going to start serving my clients in the capacity that I want to serve them again. But I'm still internally fighting it for Instagram because I'm still working through that limiting belief in the fear of being judged, because pivoting publicly is very vulnerable. People are going to judge. I've had past coaches before tell me I can't do this kind of work because it's not what I'm known for. And doing something that's out of the mold of what I created for myself, it's honestly terrifying because it's not just a pivot from done for you services to coaching. It's in a totally different world for me. And in 2025, I'm doing a lot of shadow work. I'm doing a lot of healing work, and I'm taking you along the journey with me through this episode as well. Because if 2025 really stretched you and made you shed some layers, it's okay, because you're being called to do something else that you were meant to do. And if it's been really rough, like it's been rough for me, there's that moment where you really start to consider quitting and going back. And I mentioned this earlier, but that moment when I decided that I was going to keep pushing forward, I had to be really honest about that. It would be super safe for me to go back to a corporate job, do marketing, do social media, get back into the weeds of things, for someone else. I would be able to survive there. I would not be able to thrive there. I would be able to keep a roof over our head, our bills paid, but more than likely, I would have to put my two children, a 18-month-old and a 4-month-old, into daycare. And that right now makes me literally sick to my stomach because I just do not trust people with my children. That's a me issue. It's great for you if that is what you have to do or what you feel comfortable doing. Awesome. But for me, I can't imagine that. I was having panic attacks of imagining things that would happen to them, or just like missing out on those moments because I had to be in the office for 8 to 9 hours a day. And like someone else was getting to see all those big learning, growth, development moments. And I knew that life is just not meant for me. And then there was the part of like having my freedom ripped away. I've been in business for 5 years. I've had the privilege to literally have a schedule and be free with my life, be present, be a mom, be a human, and not just work for a paycheck. And so that thought of, if I go back to a corporate job, I'm now on a rigid schedule. I have to follow someone else's orders essentially, and I won't be able to have a slow morning or wake up and go coffee, go on a little breakfast date with my littles, or take the afternoon off to play outside because it's dead of winter and it's 70 degrees outside. And those fears of like, honestly, like that fear of missing out on the life that I currently have, it reminded me of why I started in the first place. And it's always been to create wealthy women, but to also bring us back home to ourselves and to really show us what life is meant to be like. Like, we were never meant to be stuck in a corporate job or to be working a rigid, structured schedule, just to work to pay bills and then do it all over again and truly miss out on like the life that God made for us, right? And so that's what I had to ground back into, my purpose. I've always wanted to show my kids that you can make money in a different way and that your life does not have to look like what society expects it to. And so this year brought old wounds back to the surface as I've been going through. I know the trajectory that I want to go on, but now I have to do it. And so the wounds that I thought that I had already healed, that I honestly, if I'm being honest, I got a little lackadaisy on my own healing journey and my own mindset work because I thought I was good. But truly, mindset, energetic, identity work, nervous system work, it's a journey. It's a daily journey. You're always going to have to do the work in some kind of capacity. And so I had to start working through the fear of being seen, the fear of being judged, the fear of being misunderstood. And instead of pushing harder, like I was so used to doing, like when business had slowed down in the past, it was like, okay, let me just add on more hours to the week. Let me do more of my lead generation. Let me create more content. Let me make more connections. And I would easily sign clients again, but I was hustling to sign those clients. And I knew that I would not be able to put that energy and effort out there and sign clients in the capacity that I wanted to and to serve them in the capacity that I wanted to. And so I had to slow down. Basically, how I had to think about it, how this year ripped the layers off of me. It opened up those wounds. And so I had to slow down. I had to heal. I had to let the wounds heal. I had to trust God. I had to work on healing myself. I had to step away from productivity as being part of my identity. And I had to step away from being known as the strategy girl. And while I slowed down, I started picking up hobbies again. I started coloring again. I started reading more. I've been on my reading journey for about 2 years now, but I started reading more. I am learning how to knit and crochet. And I had to find my spark. I had to find myself again, and I needed to create that space to feel joy without needing to turn it into something profitable. And by doing so, that helped me get a clear direction on how to serve my people. I had to remember who I was before everything became about output and money and sales and revenue and growth. And so if you don't have hobbies, I definitely encourage you to go grab a coloring book, sit down for 30 minutes a day and color, or learn a new skill, paint, draw, write, whatever it is that you used to do before you were a business owner. Start doing it again, because not only will it maybe help you find a new path, but it will just help you create that creative spark again and to feel more fulfilled in your business. It's going to fuel the fire that you have burning inside of you to serve your clients. And so how I'm going into 2026 and how I'm building this newer foundation of my business is something I already preach on. It's something that I already know how to do. But as a 2 under 2 mom, I have to be very intentional about how I build a business, because I can't have a business that demands so much of my time. Because honestly, I have zero clue of what my day is going to look like. And so I had to simplify in the most intentional way. So I simplified my offers, I simplified my strategies, and I honestly simplified my expectations. Like, I still have big goals. Do not get me wrong. I am going to be living a rich girl life. I know that I'm so close to the life that I want. And this shift, this pivot, this new skin that I'm growing, it's going to get me there. But there is still strategy. There is still foundational work that I have to go back and do. So I simplified everything, from my messaging, from my offers, to my lead generation strategy, to my own expectations of when I'm going to hit my goals. And I stopped building a business that looks super impressive from the outside. Truly, I've gotten to a point where if people are like, oh my gosh, there's no way that she's successful, I don't care. Like, that's your problem. It's not my problem, because I know what I'm building and I know the impact that it's going to have on my women inside of my containers. And so I started building that business again that supports this season of life, and that will support every single season of life that I continue on living. And it's not going to drain me. Sure, I may have days where I don't want to do the work that I'm doing because I'm just tired. I mean, I've slept like 2 hours a night for the past 3 weeks. Like, your girl is tired. She is exhausted from all the layers being shed. And it's been a very good season of growth, good season of leaning into that new identity, but it's also been exhausting. And I think that's also been a testament to building this foundation of my business, because it is set up to create 20K cash months, but I'm not going to hustle or race to hit 20K cash months in 30 days. I have a year-long plan that will help me stay consistent, take action on the days that motherhood gets kind of overloaded. It allowed me to step back, but it will still keep me on the trajectory to hit my goals so I can live that rich, wealthy girl life that I am like so close to living. But I also want to share the moment that I almost yielded because, like I said, 2025, it pushed me to become someone new, but it also broke me because it stripped away and it took away everything that I knew or everything that I thought that I wanted or that I thought that I had to do to get to where I wanted. It wasn't just a couple rough days, it was a year of struggle. It was a year of me fighting God's plan. Universe, source, God, whatever. It was just like, no, you're done. And they stripped the layers away from me. And I wanted to give up. And not in a sense of just give up business, go back to corporate. Like there were days that I really wanted to give up, that I did not know if I could keep doing it. And I knew that was the devil talking. I knew those thoughts were not mine. They were also super heavy during high into postpartum, which I'm still only 4 months postpartum. But there were two phrases that really carried me through the whole year, but especially this last 2 quarters in general. And those two phrases are you do not yield and to whatever end. And if you're a book girly, if you have read Throne of Glass, you already know. Aelin didn't survive by staying comfortable. She survived because she refused to surrender who she was, even when everything was stripped away. She held on to her fire and she let it burn, even in the darkest times. It's crazy that a fictional character can make so much impact in your life, but Aelin saved me. And so on the days that I felt empty or scared or just at the point of giving up and exhausted and not knowing how I can truly keep going because I did not know what we were going to do because I was so unregulated and I was sent to such a survival mode place where I started to hate the work that I was doing because, I mean, it was not meant for me. And that's what God was trying to tell me. But I did not know how to get out of the hole that I had like dug myself in. And I did not know how to create a business or create the income or get the income that was going to help me get like my head above water, right? And so I had to borrow Aylin's strength. And so I told myself every single day, you do not yield to whatever end. And every now and then I'm going to throw in a third one of because shifting into mindset, energetics, manifestation is very scary, especially whenever you're in a place that I was because I felt like a fraud. I felt like an imposter. But at the same time, I was living through the work that I know I was meant to do for my clients. I was living through my own healing journey. And while I've been making that shift, I tell myself I'm not afraid. My name is Alicia, and I am not afraid. And so I had to take a little strength from Sam Cortland as well. But Aylin got me through 2025. Her strength showed me that it's okay to pivot. It's okay to do the thing that people don't believe that you can do. It's okay to allow yourself to strip away everything that you know. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you love to do. You got to tap into that fire that's burning inside of you and let it burn. You got to let the flames out. And that's what I'm doing. 2026 is going to be a year of growing new skin. I'm shifting into a completely different identity that is very unexpected, still a little scary, but I'm also so grounded in that identity that I know that is why I went through 2025. Unfortunately, I should have listened to God because I don't think the layers would have been completely ripped from me as hard as they were. I think it would have been more of a gentle identity shift, but unfortunately, I'm very stubborn. And so I had to learn the lesson the hard way. So if this year stretched you to your limits, it wasn't a mistake. I know it was hard. 2025 was a year of shedding, of releasing identities, relationships, offers, timelines that were never meant to come with you. And 2026 is going to be your year of embodiment. Everything that you learned, everything that you healed, everything that you released, it gets to work for you now. And you're still here. You're still standing. You're still choosing yourself. You didn't let it break you. You didn't give up. You did not yield. You allowed yourself to transform. You allowed yourself to shift identities. And now you're going to be walking into the next year in a slower, deeper, more aligned way because you're right on your timeline. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And so if you take anything away from this episode, just remember you didn't yield. And to whatever end, you're going to live that life that is meant for you. all of it is already on its way because you're exactly where you're meant to be. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Business and Brunch. I would love to know what layers that you had to shed in 2025. Definitely, if you feel comfortable, send me over on Instagram at Alicia Croce. Like I said, I would just love to know what 2025 shed for you and where you are going in 2026. Thank you again for listening to Business and Brunch. I'll see you next week.